Hi guys, I'm Emma, and this is my Birthway video series about my pregnancy from preconception until after birth. And we're at the 32 weeks mark right now, so this video is giving you an update about me being 32 weeks pregnant. So, a couple things that have happened this week. My uterus has started to get a lot more sore. I feel like you can tell that I'm starting to get a little maybe bigger again. Like, I think I'm gaining weight again after I mentioned how I lost weight. So I think I'm starting to gain weight again. But my lower uterus has been more sore. Like, that, maybe that's what's stretching the most. Almost like the way it's sore, like period cramping sore. Not like cramping like painful. It's not cramping really, but just stretching. And it feels like it's in the area. I think, oh, it's my uterus, because that's where my uterus used to be, but now it's just the bottom of my uterus, because now the rest of my uterus is everywhere else, you know. So the bottom of my uterus has been kind of sore. Another thing from this week that I actually ended up calling the midwives about, because I wanted to check, is I was having, like, diarrhea. And I've had really soft stools, like, most of this time, especially lately, which is great, because that means I'm not constipated, which means I'm less likely to have hemorrhoids before birth, you know. So I'm excited about that. That's fine with me. And I think it's what I eat, is because I don't eat that many carbs, which kind of clog you up a bit. Or at least like breads and rice and stuff. I'll eat like sweet potatoes, you know, that kind of thing. And sugars from fruits and stuff, but not like classic carbohydrates that you would think of when you think of, you know, cereals, granolas, breads, things like that. So it's not just been soft stools. Like, for a couple days, it's been like actual like diarrhea. Not all day, but like one bout of like, whoa, I'm pooping water. Which is apparently, when I called the midwife, diarrhea is really an issue because it's potentially dehydrating to you, and you're losing some of your nutrients potentially if you keep doing it. You know, if you do it like once, it's not a big deal. And it's not because I'm sick or anything. I know that. So it's like, I just needed to call and check and make sure, you know. She was like, keep drinking a lot of water, which I've been doing. So I'm going to keep doing that. And then still related to how I've been talking about like fluid retention, like water retention kind of thing, my feet swelling and stuff like that. I'm thinking that, it could have to do with that. Like, maybe I'm getting the last bit of fluid out of my body. And you know, so that I'm not carrying water weight anymore, that kind of thing. Because my foot swelling is so much less now. It still hasn't been as hot, but I haven't had that insane foot swelling I mentioned, like, I think last week, where it was like 2 days of like scary swollen feet. Now it's just like a little swollen when I'm up on my feet a lot, which I am, you know, standing for like 8 hours straight or something like that. But there's like some walking in between and that kind of thing. So that's interesting, but the diarrhea hasn't been fun because it's also like right before I have like really painful like gas and stuff, and it's like, I know that I'm not going into labor, but it makes me a little nervous just because it's still too early. Obviously, we're at 32 weeks, and because when you're way more into term, when you're closer to 40 weeks, you know, diarrhea can be a symptom that labor's starting because your body's flushing out. So I just got a little nervous, even though I wasn't experiencing any cramping or anything. One interesting thing to note is I'm still not feeling Braxton Hicks contractions. My body's having them, obviously. The midwife felt one many, many appointments ago, but I'm not feeling them yet. So I wonder when that will be. That'll be interesting to figure out. And still, my carpal tunnel syndrome is worse. So, but it's still not, I know, as bad as it can be. And I really do think it's, you know, just the symptoms, not the actual syndrome. It's from swelling and stuff, because if I massage my wrist, it feels a little better, things like that. But the worst part is this arm, like, aches, like, when I'm sleeping, some nights, not all nights, like, all the way up my whole arm, and I can't get a good position for it. And I think it's like, this is kind of, I don't know, aching. It makes everything else ache. So I was wearing a brace for a while that my mom gave me that wasn't specifically for carpal tunnel, and I think it was helping, but then now I think maybe it wasn't, because it was keeping my hand flexed so much that it was like actually making the sore. So it's actually better if I kind of clench my hands, which maybe is bad. We've been looking into it, and it's hard to figure out. But last night I felt much better. It felt better. And it's like numb. This is numb in the same way this is numb, but it doesn't hurt during the day. It's just at night is the issue. So if it doesn't hurt every night, we'll see, you know. Another thing apparently that's helpful is to eat a lot of protein, which I think I've been eating less of lately. I need to be eating more protein, like straight meat, which is normally something I love, but I've been more interested in protein via yogurt and eggs and things like that lately, and I need to just be pounding the meat too, because I need enough protein and, you know, need more fat too. Although I'm probably eating enough fat. So that's happened. And then, so I wanted to talk today about where I think my baby is in my body, because I've watched a couple of videos, one of them from Mama Natural. If you haven't ever seen that website, it's a really great resource. It's mamanatural.com. And I am signed up for those weekly email updates about how the baby's developing and stuff like that. So that's a really awesome resource. But I watched a video that Genevieve, the lady who does the website, did about like kind of trying to guess where her baby was to make sure that it's in the optimal position for birth. Because now is the time, this like 30 to 34 weeks time, or later even, is when the baby settles down in the position where it should be for birth. At least head down and then facing a certain position. And it's much better if the baby is facing sort of opposite of the way you're facing. So when the baby's head comes out, it's better if the baby's head comes out facing backwards, not face up. They call that sunny side up. Because that's just, it's the circumference of the head is wider when it comes out sunny side up. It's also their back is at a weird angle and it can put pressure on your back. It's just not as common, but it's also not as effective a position for your body to scoot the baby through because of the angles you have in your pelvis to get the baby through. Of course, gravity is like the #1 champion in this situation. But it can be tough to have a baby sunny side up. I mean, you can do it, but it's more painful sometimes and it's harder. And they're never perfectly facing, or usually not, front or back. They're always front or back, you know, a little to the side, one way or the other, to the left or to the right, you know. So anyway, so it's just nice to know where the baby is. And we have another appointment coming up soon, which will be really exciting. So we'll get to, sorry, my brain just went. That's one thing that's been happening extra I haven't mentioned is pregnancy brain. It's like I can't think of the words for things. Like that thing we drive in that has wheels. A car. Yeah, that. Like I can't think of words all the time. But, oh God, I even just forgot completely what I was talking about. It doesn't matter. So we have an appointment coming up soon and they're going to be able to hear the heartbeat, you know, where it is and feel around and know where the baby is. And every time we've gone, the baby's been head down. And lately at home, Jason's been more into helping me find the heartbeat with the fetoscope, and it's always lower on my body. So let me just kind of show you. You can see, you'll be able to see how big I am now. That's me now. So, okay, so I'm pretty sure that my baby's head is low down here, because I sometimes feel pressure on my cervix, but not like a weird poking pressure, like I'm getting poked with a foot. It feels more like firm pressure that isn't too jabby. So I think the baby's head is down because also Jason's been getting the heartbeat in this region, which would mean that that would be where the torso and the chest and stuff would be, which would make sense if the head is down. So usually I notice that there's more bumping of butts and backs and hard spots on this side. But I still think the baby is doing like, woof, you know, swivels, like there's a roll. Sometimes you can see my whole stomach like boing, go to the other side, like a bump out, and it'll slide over here. It's pretty cool. But I'm pretty sure that we've got a head here, and in general, preference of the baby would be to have the back here. And I get a bunch of butt cheeks and things moving around in this region. And then I feel kicks too, but I think there's a chance the kid could be kicking my placenta, which doesn't have any nerve endings and stuff in it for me. So I feel the bouncing of the kicking, but I don't feel where I'm getting kicked. So I do see bouncing. But I also think the kid is still really moving a lot. Not like bouncing around like crazy, but doing a lot of switching and swiveling and rolling and things like that. Because it is getting tighter in there. But I think I'm getting, you know, back, butt region. I think I'm getting kicks in different places like opposite, or if the back's over here for a little bit of time, opposite. Sometimes I get poked up here, which I imagine would be some feet action. And I haven't really felt the hands, which I think is interesting because the hands are usually closer to the head, apparently, and I haven't felt the hands that I know of. Maybe I have, I don't know. I do feel sometimes a little side, like on the side, and that could be hands. If the head's down, the hands could be moving around like this, poking. I don't really know. And since we're not doing ultrasounds, have never seen the baby in its actual position or one of its actual positions. So I'm excited to go back to the birth center really soon and get them to really feel around and kind of tell me and confirm that the baby's head down and all that stuff. Because I'm a squatting person. I do a lot of squatting just to rest. And I've been trying to definitely keep squatting. I'm not doing it as like an exercise per se. And I don't do very much like bad postured sitting or sit for a long period of time really anymore. I'm like up and down a lot, which an exercise and movement is really good for babies to be head down and then facing the right way. You know, just baby usually knows what to do. They have a sense for what they're supposed to do, which is go head down at the right time and be there. But you need to help them if you're in a bad position, or if you're always laying down, or if you're, you know, always sitting down. Always, it's going to be hard for them to move around a little bit and get shifted sometimes. So that's what I'm thinking where the baby is now. But we're going to find out soon. And in, you know, what, 8 to 10 weeks or so, we're going to find out for real, or maybe less than 8 weeks. I mean, 37 weeks is when I can deliver at the birth center. I doubt it will be that early, but we've got 5 weeks until I could theoretically go into labor without any worry of needing interventions. And usually around 34, 35 weeks, the baby's lungs are developed enough to not need any extra attention except just being monitored, usually. So that's cool to know too. So like, you know, I don't think it's going to happen, but it's always nice to know, like, okay, this baby needs to hang out inside me at least for 3 more weeks. You know, that kind of thought, even though I don't think it's going to be just 3. I think it's going to be 40, 41, 41 and a half, you know, but I just don't want to be underprepared if it's early, because I need to at least think of that, because the house is not ready. I've said this before. I think we're going to start like this week getting extra stuff out of the guest bedroom, which is where the baby is. And so that'll be nice to get started on that. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week for the 33 weeks update. I'm Emma. Have a great day. Bye.